I'm so excited. I like get to, oh my God, I finally get a platform to talk about linen.
Hi.
I'm into this one, it's a Rolex. That's honestly great.
Oh, wait.
I brought a wrinkled shirt. I blew out the butt.
This is 100% wool. This is a waxed cotton. 100% nylon on the inside.
So many watches. My expensive taste.
You can see the lines.
You're not taking this to the outdoors.
Fabric, weave, a sweater. Pattern, all these are patterned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh, thank you. One push.
wait, do you know about this?
Yes.
Linen.
I like this whole video series.
Hi everyone, my name is Ratish Gupta. I'm based in Brooklyn, New York. I am so stoked to talk about linen. I've been in the fashion world for a number of years now. I am obsessed with texture, obsessed with fiber. I have a ton of books and read up a lot on a lot of these types of things, and I'm so stoked to share my love for one of my favorite fibers, and I'm so stoked to give you some like useful tips and things that I've learned from reading, learned from my own experience, and also learned from experts in the field. I'm really hoping that people who haven't taken linen seriously will be excited to try it, and then also people who are already linen people will learn something new as well that they can apply to their own lives. That's my hope, is like whether or not you're a beginner, intermediate, or more advanced linen person, you will get something useful out of this.
Amazing. So I guess the first question is, why do people suggest linen for the summer?
There's multiple reasons. Oftentimes people love that it's quote unquote temperature regulating. It's breathable. It is strong. It's a very strong fiber compared to like others, especially when wet. It dries quickly, so it doesn't like feel like cotton when it like you get soaked and you're just feeling like it's sticking to you. It doesn't do that as much. So yeah, those are just like a couple of the intro reasons.
You have a linen collection.
Yes.
How many pieces of linen clothing do you think you own?
I don't know, like maybe like 50, like something like that, all the way from socks to shorts, pants, jackets, shirts, tanks, hats. Like really the only pieces of things that I don't have linen are glasses and shoes.
You have linen underwear?
I don't have actually linen underwear.
Okay. But you could.
I have lyocell that I really love.
That's your preferred.
That lyocell's great. Linen underwear, I've thought about it, but there's pros and cons when it gets that close.
Okay. Is that important to go over or not worth it?
We can talk about like, I mean, I'm not also here to be like linen all the time only. Like it's also, there's also cons to it too.
The pros and
so we can talk about both. I'm down.
Sounds
Let's
good.
be real about it. The first thing that people get nervous about with linen is the whole, oh, it gets wrinkled. It looks wrinkled. That is usually one of the common issues that people have with it. There's a difference between wrinkled and rumpled. Let's talk about it. Wrinkled.
Yes.
To prove my point,
You brought a wrinkled shirt.
I brought a wrinkled shirt. So this is what I did in preparation for this video.
You washed it?
I washed it. I washed it, and then instead of like hanging it up in my closet, I essentially had it folded, and I had it folded underneath a bunch of other things.
Okay.
So like this is essentially what's gonna happen like if you don't
treat it nicely.
Yeah, if you don't hang it up.
Yeah.
My recommendation is after the wash, hang it up.
On like a hanger.
On a hanger. Some colors will show wrinkles more than others. I would not recommend if you are a first-time
Linen buyer.
I don't know, like long-time listener, first-time buyer,
Yeah.
first-time caller type of person to go straight for a lightweight, mid-tone piece. This was what I would not recommend.
Is that like what you mean by it's like relatively thin?
It's relatively that you can just straight up feel it and be like, all right, this is probably gonna wrinkle. Now what you can do in the store is straight up just go to it and do this. Because in most stores, they will steam the hell out of this stuff, or they'll iron it and they'll make it look good, and then literally you sit down once and it'll crease.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about rumpling and creasing in a second, but that is one of the things that I would do. If you're a first-time buyer of linen, I would not buy online. I would go to a store specifically, maybe not the most expensive store for linen, because there's different grades of it, certain prices, certain price points. So what I would recommend is going in person, getting a white/neutral, a black. Case in point.
Did you thrift this?
I did not. Actually, the pants that I'm wearing are the same brand.
Same brand. You like this brand?
I love Monitaly. They're
I'll put a
wonderful.
list of brands in the description and maybe some information about them.
I love Monitaly. They're so wonderful.
Nice buttons.
Getting back to colors for wrinkling. I stored this in a similar way as I stored this.
Really?
Way less wrinkles.
That's interesting.
Mostly because it's harder to see the wrinkles. It's a little bit harder. Now, it's not perfect. I would definitely recommend like a little steamer love, and then I'm good to go. But just showing you how different the actual fabric, this is a little bit thicker.
Yeah.
It's not as thin, and the color changes just out of the box, basically, so much. So again, if you are interested in linen, but you're nervous about the wrinkling, I would not go for like this hue. As much as I love this hue, this is more of the advanced intermediate situation, and I would get a neutral tone, and then I would also make sure that you're washing it and caring for it properly.
And this is engineered garments.
That's a sample that I got from the Alfargo's Market, like engineered garments sample sale.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I love it so much. So that is the wrinkling thing. Now, what is the difference between wrinkling and rumpling? Well, Ratish will tell you.
Okay. I assume rumpling is like what happens when you sit down in it?
Exactly.
Okay.
A rumple is a little bit like some of these like lines that you would see that like happen just naturally in like denim or something. I love when it rumples.
So you're a rumple fan.
I'm a rumple fan. Rumpelstiltskin.
Yes.
Ready to rumple.
Okay.
Remember Ready to Rumble on Dreamcast?
No.
Brendan probably knows what I'm
Yes.
talking about. See, Brendan, Brendan just said yes.
From the other room.
Now, wrinkles, and I wore these on purpose because of that. Wrinkles will, like, if I like really do this and I twist it and whatnot, this is wrinkle. I'm not going out like this.
I see. Yeah.
But the rumples, the natural, I'm good with that. That's what's naturally going to happen with linen. So you kind of have to like be okay with it.
Right. The natural aura.
Yeah, the natural aura of it. So some people aren't okay with rumples either. So what I would recommend, again, is not using this tone. I would use the neutral tones.
Okay.
Oftentimes, neutral tones can also include gray. Gray will show wrinkles a lot. So I would highly recommend white or black.
Gotcha.
Okay? All right. So next thing to help with the whole wrinkle look and all of that kind of stuff is doing blends.
That's what I go for.
So let's talk about blends. Façonnable.
That's this brand?
Yeah.
Façonnable. Okay, it's French.
From France. This is 60% cotton, 40% linen.
Okay.
What I also recommend is if you're new to linen, don't go all gas, no brakes. But seriously, I would recommend doing a blend. Probably a 50-50, 60-40, something like that. So what's great about this, and again, I did not iron this, and I did this on purpose.
Yeah. But it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, but this doesn't
100%.
feel like cotton. I mean, it's got that sort of flaxy stiffness.
Totally, totally. Now, another one that I also want to have you check out. What fiber do you think that is?
Well, I'm going to guess it's a blend. Is this a trick question? Should I not look? Okay.
No, it's fine.
I guess if I picked it up, I would say linen.
Same.
Yeah.
This is 100% cotton.
Really?
Yeah. So this is Giorgio Armani.
It's like
This is 100% cotton. Made in Italy, 100% cotton. So you can also, don't get duped. You can think that you're buying linen, but it's not linen. Oftentimes, certain ways cotton is treated and woven
makes it stiffer.
will make it feel like linen. It'll be the stiffness or just like the general feeling of linen.
Feeling on it, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about not getting duped. Obviously, look at the damn tag, obviously.
Yeah.
If a tag's not there, I would be wary.
So let me show you. I have a couple pieces that don't have a
cool.
tag.
Cool.
And I'll tell you, I picked them up thinking, I like it whether or not it's linen, so it doesn't matter too much. This is the one I got at a thrift store. It's just a black.
This is cotton.
You think it's cotton?
This is cotton. I'm almost positive this is cotton. It feels very smooth. The way to tell if it's cotton or not, one of my favorite ways, you of course can look from the side and do all the things, and it looks like more fluffy than it is.
On the side?
Like you could see if it's fluffy or not. So let me show you.
So fluffy is linen or fluffy is not linen?
Fluffy is most likely cotton.
Oh.
It is so hard to tell. I've worked with and many people who have like done the same thing. They're like, I can't really quite tell. The
Part
main
of it was because of the way it wrinkles. That made me think it was linen.
So this
Or a blend.
This might be, but I also have cotton pieces that rumple very similarly. The way to tell is to get sweaty.
And see how quickly it dries?
And not only the dryness, how quickly it dries, but also if it holds in stink. Oh. So let me talk about one of my favorite things about linen is the odor kind of resistance. It's not gonna be odor free necessarily. You can't just go ham on it and then just get like the expectation that it's gonna like be gone.
Deodorant.
I would still wear deodorant for sure.
Yeah.
But similar to like a merino wool, oftentimes it can be quite odor resistant. So whereas cotton, I didn't start wearing linen until like maybe the last like 3 or 4 years, maybe. Up until there, I was like, why do I smell or why do I feel like uncomfortable
Gross
in
and
certain things or why do I feel sticky, like all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And oftentimes it's because of cotton. Socks is one of the biggest offenders. I know Trevor mentioned that on your video where you talked to him. He runs a wonderful brand called William Ellery. He was talking a little bit about that. Like linen and wool socks are much better for odor than cotton. It's sometimes hard to go by hand feel if you don't have a tag. But the most important thing, in my opinion, if you're not like a linen head or a linen fiend, I just wouldn't buy it.
Yeah.
Like if it doesn't have a tag, I wouldn't buy it because I've also bought stuff that was made out of acrylic from the 60s and 70s that I thought was
really
linen and actually wasn't. So there's acrylic and cotton sometimes can disguise themselves a little bit as linen. So I would recommend if you're really genuinely interested in buying linen and trying it out and give it the actual like college try, don't go into untagged
waters.
Stuff.
Yeah.
It's not worth it for the beginners. Okay, cool. So we talked a little bit about odor protection. We talked a little bit about kind of like wrinkles. All right, you can go the complete opposite way and you can get linen that feels more like burlap. This thing frickin' rules.
I mean, it's very pretty.
It is so pretty. I feel like $1 million in it. I love this fabric. If you're looking for something that's a little bit thicker, especially for like the kind of transition times, I would say that burlap or going with a heavier linen can sometimes be very, very effective for preventing not only rumples, but of course wrinkles. Okay, so that's the other one.
This is in great shape. And this is interesting. It's linen and silk. Mm-hmm. Very fancy.
It's so nice.
And this is Ralph Lauren Purple Label.
I did not pay Ralph Lauren Purple Label prices. I got it is on eBay, and I'll talk a little bit about sourcing a little bit later. Drop me like questions in the comments if you'd like.
I'm gonna try it on.
Sure. And just for the viewers, hi viewers, it's basically 80% linen and 20% silk. Now, silk holds in stink.
Really?
So that's another thing. Like, so if you're like looking at like, of course you're gonna look amazing in this thing.
A little bit. Ooh.
Oh my god, dude, that's sick.
This probably looks nice though with your skin tone. Sometimes when I get things like this, I'm like, it's too beige on beige.
I totally, I get it. I get it.
You feel the weight of it, it hangs.
Yeah, 100%. The other thing that I would recommend, again, this is all under the guise of like, I'm worried about wrinkles. Like, what can I do about wrinkles? It's all under like that kind of thing. This is by Faherty. This is 100% indigo.
And this one is too.
Both are Faherty, not a sponsor. Just happen to buy these from eBay. And these also tend to not hold in like wrinkles as much as well. So you can kind of feel that this has been decently worn. It's decently soft, but you can feel like that kind of burlappy kind of feel to this. So I would not recommend this type of thing in the heat of summer.
Because it's too thick?
It's thick. This thing, like, in my opinion, this is not the type of linen that I would wear in the hottest of the hot. This is the type of linen that I would wear and be very comfortable in 50 to 70 degree weather.
Okay.
But when we're talking about 85 and we're in New Orleans or in New York City like here, like this is not what I would bust out. You'll have to make the trade-off between the wrinkles, rumples, and the look versus just feeling comfortable.
Yeah.
Now this, on the other hand, is a little bit thinner.
It's thinner.
So I feel a lot more comfortable wearing this. The other thing that I love about linen is the way it falls, the way it drapes, especially if you have something a little bit more oversized. It'll generate a little bit of a breeze for you. So what I like to do is actually wear long sleeve shirts and also pants in the summer, and I feel very, very comfortable. Back in the day, I used to, and when I'm saying back in the day, I literally mean 3 or 4 years ago. Like this is like a very recent thing. Back in the day, I would wear just like cotton shorts and I would wear like a cotton t-shirt, and not only would I be stinky and like grimy and feeling, but also I'd be really hot. Just like, I'd be like, why am I so hot? So I would really also consider, if you are a type of person who wears short sleeve shirts and or shorts/skirts, I would recommend to, in an effort to feel cooler, I would also recommend just giving it a try to wear like a little bit bigger, off the body, longer things that fully cover your.
I feel like.
What do you feel? Tell me how you feel.
When they do talk show hosts and they bring on like a wildlife expert.
Yeah.
Like,
Steve Irwin with a little croc or something.
Yeah, I'm like, what do you have next for us today? You're like, a possum. I'm like, wow. Before we move on, I want to thank the sponsor for this video, who is Curology. Curology is a skincare company. They provide both prescription strength and non-prescription skincare. So I signed up. I've talked about this before. I don't wear makeup, so I do try to take care of my skin, but at the same time, I am a little lackadaisical about it. I'm not the greatest person with any sort of routine. And skincare requires a lot of trial and error, requires a lot of research, which I'm not willing to do. I love to research for my YouTube videos, but I'm not so interested in researching for skincare routines. So Curology, you go in, you sign up, you answer a questionnaire. I can show you the pictures. I sent them, and my personal complaints are probably I have redness on my cheeks. I have like some enlarged pores, fine lines because I'm getting into my 30s, and hyperpigmentation because I'm a little bit of a picker. I can't leave my acne alone. They have sent me this routine. I've never had to do one of these. Let's go. Here we go. It works. That's why they do it. This is the Hydro Tret RX, which is essentially tretinoin and a moisturizer. And I have been, tretinoin is pretty hardcore. You need it to be prescribed to you, which is great that you can do that through Curology. And you need to sort of ease yourself into it. So I was doing it like twice a week. Now I'm kind of doing it every other night. And then I go in afterwards with this moisturizer to just really keep everything wet. That's not the word, but I don't want my skin to dry out as it is wont to do. And then they also gave me this little wash that I use. It's been a good experience. I'm just really glad that I can talk to someone and be like, these are my issues. That's what I'm thinking about. This is what I want to fix. And they just sort of give you the routine. And then, of course, there is a dialogue you can have. You can message with them about any concerns or issues you're having, and they will respond, give you more information, or adjust as things go along. So I'm excited to see where the skincare journey will take me because I have really been slacking having to do it by myself. If you guys are interested, you can start your Curology journey today and get a special offer on your first box. I will leave that information down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will keep you updated.
Okay, another fabric. I love this fabric.
This is like a seersucker.
Exactly. A seersucker linen. Wild Pokemon.
Whoa, this is weird.
A wild, rare Pokemon.
It's very 3D.
This is like finding like an Articuno in the wild.
This is a New Balance Todd Snyder collab?
I can't find this anywhere online.
This is the weirdest piece of clothing I've ever seen.
So check this out. What do you think is the material composition of this? So linen and what?
Is it a synthetic?
Oh, yes. It's got a little bit of spandex in it.
That's why it's so stretchy.
So it's got the stretch for when I got the stretch, when I eat too much.
Okay. You're busting out of your blazer.
Yeah, when I'm busting out of my blazer.
Keep going.
And this is wonderful, very practical when when I'm traveling, when I'm not able to get to an iron or bring my own steamer. And yes, I bring my own steamer a lot of times. And I'm just like kind of in a rush and I want something that's very practical and I don't really have to iron that much. A linen and synthetic sometimes is really good too. Now, it is very rare to have like an 80% synthetic with a 20% linen. That's very rare. Yeah. This is more the kind of like
this is the opposite. 66% linen, 32% cotton, 2% elastane.
I think this is also another point too that I want to make is if you're able to find linen that's already meant to look a little rumply or a little wrinkly already, then you're good to go.
Yeah.
So I know the Canoe Club dudes, there was like this Aura Lee like blazer that they came out with that like literally is supposed to meant to look like actual wrinkled. Like that's how it comes out.
On purpose.
And that's on purpose. And like sometimes people really like that. You're just gonna have to be okay with some people being like, is that supposed to be like that?
Did you just roll out of bed?
So it's definitely like a power move a little bit to buy something specifically wrinkly. But I just want to show you a little bit of a wild Pokemon that if you're able to find, not necessarily this collab, whatever, that doesn't really matter so much. It's more of just if you're able to find some of these like funkier weaves, funkier things, I highly recommend grabbing them and trying them out, especially if you're like worried about the wrinkles.
The wrinkles.
Okay, next up.
A sweater.
A sweater.
The classic linen sweater made in Ireland.
This is Paul Stewart. I did not fart just now. That was I promise that was the chair.
Sound like...
Okay, cool. This is, for the sake of argument, a relatively equal proportion of linen and cotton.
Oh, okay.
So what I love about this is you get a lot of the benefits of linen and you get some of the benefits of cotton. So you get a little bit of like that kind of smoothness that you like with cotton, and you also get like the kind of a little bit more of the comfort and temperature regulating from the linen.
And you're wearing this like cool summer night?
Yep. Or in the fall, the spring, like
all year round.
Yeah, there's
a 12-month sweater.
Yeah, this is a wonderful 12-month sweater, and the point being is this is when you buy a blend, you're able to not have to deal with like the wrinkles so much because of the weave and like how it's meant to look. So I would also recommend moving away from cotton sweaters and more that actually don't temperature regulate very well, and move into something that's like a wool and or a cotton blend, or a wool and or linen blend.
Are there a lot
like
of
those types
linen blend sweaters, or are those?
Yeah.
Oh, there are. Okay.
Yeah.
They're
Oh yeah.
not
You
too
have to
hard
find them. You have to. They're not the easiest Pokemon.
Okay.
They're not the easiest Pokemon.
But they're out there.
But they're not the hardest.
Not like the New Balance Todd Snyder.
No, that's like a funky, like I don't even know. I couldn't find that. Then what I would also recommend is pattern. This is by far, one of the best ways, if not the best way, to like not have to deal with
With the wrinkling.
the wrinkles. These are also blends between linen and cotton.
Yes.
So again, looking at the linen and cotton, getting the benefits of both, and because these are bigger patterns, they're not going to really show many wrinkles. I love taking these on trips. I really don't have to worry about ironing them that much. I'm good to go. I love this specific era of Ralph Lauren. With patterns, what's nice about patterns is you don't have to worry so much about them being like kind of like the mid-tone color. Remember when I was talking about like that more sepia color? Cannot tell you how much I love wearing these in the summertime.
Yeah.
Love so much.
I also think people complain a lot about summer outfits and like being boring or like just not having stuff to wear.
I get so many compliments
Yeah.
on all of these, like
sure.
a bigger pattern.
These make a big impact.
Oh my God, they make such a fun impact. Like this is
And you don't need to layer.
the 90s. And then the other kind of pattern I wanted to give a shout out to is one of my favorites, Paisley. If we know our girl, Avery Truffleman.
Yes.
Are you a truffle monster?
Is that an actual nerd?
I just made that up.
Okay.
Are you a truffle monster? We're both truffle, yeah.
Monster paws up.
Yeah. She's lovely. We both saw her at Nepenthes.
Yes.
In the wintertime, she had moderated a panel
talk.
with a bunch of outdoor equipment folks. She had a great episode on Paisley, the history of Paisley.
That one. I'll do that.
One of the things that I love about Paisley is how deep of a connection it has to a lot of our heritage in India and Persia. And when back in the day, I was like, oh, Paisley, mom, like this is what I would usually see on pillows. And I was like, oh, this feels so old school Gen X, kind of like
That's like
old
Vera
school.
Bradley.
Yeah, right. And I was like, and then I like started learning about the importance of Paisley and everything. I was like, I really want to rock
Turned
this.
around. This is a nice one.
So this is a big pattern.
This one.
This is a much bigger pattern. This is also Ralph. Again,
Lots of Ralph.
Well,
Always. I mean, listen. You're on eBay. You buy Ralph.
yeah, I
That's how it
got some
goes.
Ralph stuff, and I was like, I love this. I get so many compliments from this. In fact, I was selling vintage T-shirts to a dude. I rolled up with a suitcase, and I was like, hey, do you want any of this stuff? And he's like, I don't want any of that, but I do want your shirt. And I was wearing this one.
On you.
Yeah, he was like, he was gonna buy it off my back, but I was like, no, I love it too much. The thing that I want to mention about Paisley is that Paisley works really well as like very big prints. But in one of my favorite things, and this was a recent discovery because I bought this only a few months ago in Tampa with some family, Paisley, when it's on white in much more of a kind of detached kind of thing, works really well too. So in fact, what I'm potentially going to do is hand dye this and potentially get rid of the white, but dye it indigo.
Oh.
So then you still see the lines of the Paisley, but it's much more faint. So I might do that, but I love wearing this shirt as well.
I'd love to see how that looks.
Yeah.
Should we talk about dyes?
Let's do it. The things I'm about to show you were essentially this color.
Okay.
They basically started out as this color. This is a thicker linen. This rumples so beautifully. I love the way this thing rumples.
And this is Nigel Cabourn,
Yes.
which is a British company, but very, very popular in Japan.
Yes.
And you can find a lot of this on the secondhand market because it is rather pricey.
Yes.
But a lot of it also is on the Japanese secondhand market. So you may be having to import it, which is not ideal right now.
Also, yes.
So you dyed all of this?
Okay. So I had this dyed by somebody else.
Oh, okay. This is what it looked like.
Was essentially the color. Another thing that I love about linen is it takes dye very well. Very, very well. Similar to cotton, silk, etc. But if you have a piece of linen that maybe is that mid-tone and you're just like, ugh, I never wear this because I'm worried about the wrinkles, whatever, dye it darker. I would dye it a natural black, consider dyeing it indigo. There's a couple of dye places that you can use. One of my favorites is in Lancaster, PA, called Green Matters.
And you can mail it to them?
Wonderful. Yep. Mail it to them. not super expensive. You can choose between a kind of a light wash indigo or like a dark wash indigo. The other kind of thing that you could do is do it yourself. That's a whole different video. That's a whole different thing by itself.
Which you have done.
Yeah, and so that is also really exciting too. So if you're ever like interested in dyes or want to like get in that world, like I would highly recommend checking it out. It can get expensive. It can be very labor intensive,
Right.
but it is so worth it.
And you're doing natural indigo dyes?
This is natural indigo.
This is natural indigo.
The 99% of indigo that's out in the world is synthetic indigo. We can kind of compare and contrast. This was also this color. This is a much more of a burlappy, much more of a rougher
And you
kind
can
of
see
texture.
this sort of inconsistent weave.
Exactly. This is one of my favorite things for people who are not indigo or linen people. Like this is probably one of my favorite things to get introduced to, which would be a much thicker and much more naturally rougher texture and use it as like kind of an overcoat or an over jacket. So this is something I picked up at some random thrift store in Brooklyn for not too much money.
Oh, really?
And I ended up getting it dyed because I knew that I didn't want it to be beige. I wanted it to be like an indigo color. I layer this on top of what we just talked about. And let me grab this one too. Let me grab
You're
it
doing
back.
double indigo?
Oh yeah. I'll probably do triple or quadruple. In fact, I'll keep showing you how I layer it. So these both were about the same shade as this, and then they ended up dyeing, but they take the dye so differently. Much darker, much smoother. And this one takes it a little bit less, a little more like a denim.
Yeah,
Reminds me a little
I
bit of
like
a
the
denim.
look of this one.
Okay, last one I'll show you. Feel how heavy this is. This is an Orvis fishing jacket.
Whoa.
This thing is a heavy
It's a linen Orvis fishing jacket?
a heavy duty doodad. This is a great example of if you have something linen and it's been worn a lot, when you dye it, it will show
The wear.
the wear so beautifully. And all of like these little things that you typically see on denim. If you have a linen garment, you never wear it, I would highly recommend dyeing it or consider dyeing it. It's not super, super expensive. It does not have to be indigo. And in fact, Green Matters, also not a sponsor. I've just like gotten multiple things dyed from them before. They actually have what is one of the most hardest to find colors. They have a natural black.
Oh, really?
It is incredibly hard to make a black out of
Natural materials.
Yeah, flowers, et cetera, et cetera.
And you can get it there.
You can get it there,
Cool.
get it dyed. Okay, cool. Let's talk about pants, and we'll also talk about quality. This, I would say, very, very soft. I've worn these so much. This is probably the lowest grade linen. It is very, very, very thin, which is great for certain kind of climates, temperatures, that sort of thing. It is very soft out of the box. That doesn't necessarily, just because it's soft doesn't mean it's a low quality linen. I'm not saying that. But this one was the cheapest out of all these four pants and shorts. But you can kind of just feel it and be like, all right, this is feeling a little bit more cottony. This is gonna be quite easy for me to access, not only in terms of price, but it'll also be easier in terms of access just in terms of softness. Now, this grade of linen, I would say is higher than this. It's still soft. It doesn't rumple as much.
This is really rumply.
Yeah, this is rumpled and it will get a little bit wrinkly. This one doesn't as much.
Costly. That sounds familiar, actually.
I got these off of, I think, Mr. Porter or something. They were like really much longer, and I had them hemmed
Well,
by a
5-inch
buddy named Malcolm.
inseam.
Yep, higher the inseam, closer to God. Then we've got the next up grade, I would say, of linen. This is more of a burlappy. This is actually, I bought these in Japan. I find that Daniel Cremieux does a decent job with the linen quality, but not that expensive.
Okay.
Okay, then the more of the creme de la creme
Okay.
of linen. These things are heavy. These things don't show rumples as well. These got the Gurkha and all the bells and whistles. You can just feel this linen and be like, this feels like suiting fabric.
Yeah. It's really stiff.
Mm-hmm. It's much stiffer. It's heavier.
It's really heavy.
It's heavy. It falls so beautifully. You can very much tell like the quality of linen by wearing it and seeing how it falls. I find one of the cringy things about people wearing linen is oftentimes they'll do a very, very, very tight suit out of linen and it looks awful.
Because there's no drape.
There's no drape. And so what I would also recommend for people who are looking for something comfortable, especially like a spring, summer, like wedding outfit or just something that they can go out in, I would highly recommend taking advantage of the linen and letting it flow.
Okay.
What I also don't want a lot of people to get caught up in is the quality of fabric, especially for beginners and intermediates.
Yeah, you think it actually does not matter that much.
It doesn't matter as much. Definitely if you're buying something brand new, especially like a shirt or something, and it only costs $15, I would question the labor practices there and probably the quality of linen for sure. But oftentimes I've actually gotten secondhand linen from very, very amazing brands that were made from very good quality fabric, and I've been able to get it for 20, 30, 40 bucks. Like I've been able to get good quality stuff.
That's the second-hand market.
Exactly. So what I would recommend for people who are getting used to linen and they're not necessarily exactly know what to get, I would go for the secondhand market and eBay. Try to make sure that you're able to return it if you don't like it, because you don't want to get stuck with something that you're not actually going to use. That's ridiculous.
And you think people will learn over time as they...
People will learn over time. But the most important thing I can impart is similar to the most expensive gym membership is the one you don't use. Same with linen.
Do you have any particular, like off the top of your head, top brands?
I would say for like kind of like the beginner or the people who are like on the less expensive side, Faherty. I would say a lot of like the 90s Ralph Lauren. Some of the brands that I shown were actually from Mexico City. So Mutuo. Mutuo was represented in here. Just to bring these back, I'd also recommend Daniel Cremieux as well.
And these are all generally secondhand.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff is secondhand. Can I go the second tier?
Yeah.
Okay, for the second tier, I would recommend the Armanis or the Paul & Sharks of the world. Paul & Shark is a yachting brand.
Oh.
In my opinion, they have some of the worst branding ever. People think it's like Vineyard Vines type of thing, and I'm like, it's not. Like their logo and everything about it, like Paul & Shark, if you're like watching, like let me help you with your typeface selection and your branding.
Around.
They're still around. They've been around forever. They have great quality linen. A lot of it's made in Italy. I would also recommend that for like the kind of second tier of things. This is, of course, Giorgio
Armani, and this is Paul & Shark.
I would also recommend Façonnable, the one that we mentioned before.
The French one, yeah.
For intermediates. Now for the more bulkier wallets, Paul Stuart.
Paul Stuart.
S-T-U-A-R-T, not S-T-E-W-A-R-T. That's a very different company.
I'll write it
I think they make a candy or something. Stuart candy.
Yeah, Stuart's.
Something like that. Stuart's, not Paul Stewart's. Okay. Anyways, moving on. Ralph Lauren Purple Label. I would recommend for like the more advanced side of things.
This is such a you color. Like no one is wearing.
Oh my God, I love it so much.
Very few people are pulling this electric lime green linen long sleeve button down off.
Okay, then.
Also this purple. Some blazers, some jackets. Ooh, pretty.
I've worn it a few times. I got that second hand for not that much.
Versace.
It's like their
It's very wide.
Yeah, they're like V2 line. That was like less expensive. So colorful.
Yeah. This is so pretty.
Valentino, this color I'm obsessed with. Yeah. I got this from Abreu. So if anybody like lives in New York City, especially Brooklyn, I would check out Abreu.
Shout out Abreu.
Julian from Abreu, I bought that from him.
This is 100% linen. Wow, so I've never seen, I mean, you don't see green linen bomber jackets very often.
Blouson, oh my God, yeah. And then what I would also recommend for the more expensive refined taste is, this is by Fendi. Now, check this out.
Full linen suit?
When I am purchasing a linen suit, I typically don't like the kind of cream suit, especially with brown shoes. Like chocolate brown shoes.
What do you want people to wear with their cream suits? Or you don't want them?
I don't want anybody to wear cream suits.
No more cream suits.
Ideally, I don't want cream suits, especially when you have the kind of brown belt that cuts you in half, and then you have the brown shoes. It looks so bad. Okay. Now, if you're like a groomsman, bridesmaid, whatever those like gendered roles are for the marriage institution, then sure, then you have to like be forced into that. But I'm guessing a lot of the people watching this are not being relegated to that hell. So what I would recommend is getting a linen suit that is not cream. Now, there's a couple reasons why. Number one, it's not as played out. Number two is when you get a fabric that's like this, like maybe has a stripe in it, it won't show wrinkles as much. So that's also very, very helpful. Of course, there's always like the standard after you're done with a wedding, you're dancing and everything. Yeah. After the reception, there's always just the natural, everyone looks disheveled anyways. You know, when you close out a club and all the lights come on, you're like, ugh, what happened here? Everyone has got wrinkled linen.
Everyone's gonna see how wrinkled my Fendi suit is.
This I did not get for that expensive, but the quality of fabric is
It's really nice.
to die for.
Yeah.
This thing, I feel like $1,000,000. Those are the brands I would recommend for like the more,
The high rollers.
okay, fine.
Oh,
Yes.
are there higher rollers?
There are. I would say the Rubinacci pants that we talked about before are
Did you know
ridiculously expensive.
Did you know this brand before?
Yeah. I knew about Rubinacci before. It's so expensive. You know what's funny? I would just have to say this about some Japanese brands and some Italian brands. Some of them can be so expensive, but their website looks so bad.
I think that's part of the appeal.
It's part of the appeal. I love it. And it's just like something to think about is like when you're buying linen, especially new, don't necessarily judge a book by its cover. Like Rubinacci, Nigel Cabourn, and some of these others could have terrible user experience. Speaking as a product designer and a web designer back in my former days.
I feel like they're like, I don't even need to do this.
They just let the things speak for themselves.
Yes.
Now I'm just recommending. I'm continuing to recommend like the more expensive side of things, basically. So I got this at Ann Sun.
Classic. Another great New York store.
This is by
Sonny.
their own kind of like label.
Oh, I didn't even know they had their own label.
Yeah, Sonny NYC.
No wonder.
Yep. And so they make their clothes in New York. This quality of linen, I cannot tell you how much I love this quality. I know we're skipping around it a little bit, but I wanted to make the point of this was a very white pant.
Oh, you dyed this?
Very white,
And hemmed
short. And this has been dyed a natural black from
interesting.
Green Matters. So
It's almost like purplish brown.
yes. So what's interesting about natural dyes, and that I'm just giving you a little bit of a preview here. Natural dyes, it is very hard to get as saturated, if not impossible to get as saturated as a synthetic dye, like a pure black. We've all seen it.
And it also fade differently.
Yeah. So this is actually a good example. This is synthetic black, right?
Black, yeah.
This is a natural black. What I mean by natural black is not a metaphysical, what's real and what's not. It's more of, this is a blend of a variety of plants, flowers, etc., to form a very dark gray / natural black. It is very difficult to get black in natural habitat. So you can dye anything as long as it's the similar saturation or darker. So again, another great example of like reusing clothes that you never might wear. So I will kind of end a little bit with
Accessories.
hi everyone. I just like want to get.
Let's get
Are you still with
close.
us? Are you still with me? Okay. I wanted to end the video with what I would recommend if you were starting in linen, the first types of pieces I would wear.
Really, you would do accessories first?
Yes.
Interesting.
They're not as expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are one size fits most.
Well, this is a tank top, I guess.
Exactly, socks and hats. These are clean, so you're totally good.
I wasn't worried.
Okay, good. So a few things here. Socks. Throw your cotton socks away.
We're having a real anti-cotton sock contingency on this channel.
I would throw away the cotton socks. Ugh. I would get
Linen wool.
linen socks and or wool socks. Now, merino wool socks are fantastic, especially if they have a little bit of elastane in them, are fantastic for working out in, all that kind of good stuff. Linen socks I would not recommend working out in.
More of an everyday sock.
Yeah, more of an everyday casual walking around, that sort of thing.
Where are these from?
These are from Japan. This is Nishiguchi Kutsushita. This is a different brand that we found in a very small store, like near Oralee, that pretentious Oralee store that we saw in Japan.
Yeah.
There was a store like next to it that I really loved. I can't remember the name of it, but maybe I can find it for you if people are curious. But point being is that linen socks are so much more comfortable. They will absorb sweat better. They will keep your feet a lot drier than cotton. I would recommend getting some with a little bit of elastane and you'll be good to go. And then the other thing, and probably if not my favorite thing to probably start doing, and if you're not doing it in general, you should be doing it, is head protection, face protection. I have a few different examples of hats that I think I would highly recommend
I never even thought of linen hats. This is cute.
So that hat and this hat, they're both from Blluemade, one of my favorite brands. I love the bill on them. Of course, you look amazing in that. Look at that!
Matching.
Oh my God, PV. I love it. Yeah, it's great. So I love these hats. I get so many compliments on them. You can throw them in the washing machine, all that kind of stuff. So
They're all Blluemade.
yeah, that's Blluemade as well. I got that to match my
The purple.
the purple that I had before. The other thing I would recommend, probably, to be honest, for most people, if they're just trying to like get a linen thing, would be a black linen bucket hat, to be honest.
But what about
or a black cap.
the sun?
So
Like,
yes,
I know for a
100%.
fact that black
Will
at the
absorb.
top of my head gets like my head literally heats up. Like my hair is hot.
You're absolutely right. I just think for most people, a lot more people are more comfortable with like maybe like a black. Of course, I didn't like iron it or whatever. This is just like me throwing it.
I think it's nice.
But I think it's fun, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, own it, right? I like whenever like I own this one. Like, oh, what am I doing?
Yeah, it's so right. It's so you.
I love it. So I would recommend, you're absolutely right. We'll talk about white or cream in a second, but I would recommend if people are just trying to like the easiest thing to get, like that's linen, just try the linen for not that expensive. It's usually like a bucket hat that's probably black or something. Now, my daily drivers, and what I mean daily drivers, this is literally probably the two hats that I'm wearing the most often, like pretty much when I leave out of the house.
Yeah.
So
You also got to protect your scalp.
Exactly. I've got, especially being a bald man, white or beige. Go with literally everything. I'm able to, you've probably seen photos of me or whatever on the interwebs, like all that. I'm always wearing these, especially outside. The other thing I would also recommend is, considering they're not as easy to find, is a linen cotton blend.
Fishing hat? What would you call this?
I call this like tourist core.
Yeah. But someone was looking it up.
Oh my God, I love this thing.
You really got to be confident for this.
Oh my God, this thing is so practical.
It's a nice wide brim.
It is so nice and wide. And there's other brims that you can get even wider. Now the thing from a lot of people,
hat.
yeah, I would recommend getting a bill like this or even bigger, especially to help cover your neck.
Yeah.
Because what's important about like the colors, you just mentioned this, is the whites and the creams are not going to make you feel like super, super hot. And they'll kick off the heat a little bit.
And this is linen?
Whereas, yeah, linen cotton blend.
You got this secondhand?
I got that brand new in Louisiana.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, how do you know? Because there's no
I was there for New Orleans Jazz Fest a few weeks ago. And then the other thing I would say is a tank top.
A tank top?
Like a linen tank top. It can be, this is from Todd Snyder.
I feel like you don't see these very often.
You don't. And I wish there was more. And funny enough about this Todd Snyder one specifically, not a sponsor. I don't know him personally or whatever. But like, this is an extra small. I usually wear like medium or large. And
It's just funny that
those
you have
tanks,
to say that because I think most people would assume that you do not know Todd Snyder, but we know people who do
Yeah, exactly.
know Todd Snyder.
Yeah. Like Denny and all these people.
yeah.
Like, yeah. So I would recommend checking out a linen tank. They're not very hard to find online.
Okay.
You can typically, because they're going to be closer to the body, you're going to get these soft very, very quickly. So they're not going to be like, whereas like an overshirt or a jacket, that's going to take a while to really soften up because it's like not really close to your body. It might not be like feeling the sweat, that kind of sort of thing. So I would get like a relatively loose fitting linen tank. I am quite against cotton tanks. Like I think they're uncomfortable. I would recommend a linen or even a hemp tank top, but hemp is also another video.
I'm sold on the linen hat.
Yeah.
And I like this brand, Blluemade.
Yeah, Blluemade is wonderful.
This one?
That's not Blluemade. That's a brand that I got in Japan. Do you want to read it out?
Mature Ha Mil.
Yeah.
Mature Ha makes simple and casual hats in fine quality.
So I think that's pretty much everything that I brought. I'm looking at your bed right now with all my clothes on it. Okay, one thing, of course, that I wanted to mention was the kind of maintenance of everything. So you have your stuff, you bought it, you love it. How, like, just making sure you know how to maintain it. We talked a little bit about it earlier, but what I would highly recommend is washing your linen together, only the linen stuff. Don't
Like wool.
Yeah, don't throw it in with your heavy denim pants. Definitely don't throw it in with anything that has like heavy zippers or anything like that because the abrasion
You're doing
cause...
washing machine.
Yeah, I would do washing machine.
Delicate cycle.
On the delicate cycle, on cold. And not throwing stuff in the dryer. Heat can really degrade any fiber very, very quickly. And so I would highly recommend letting it air dry, throwing it on a rack, laying it flat, a towel underneath so it can absorb a little bit, and then flipping it. That's even better. But a lot of people don't sometimes have that amount of room. And then throw it on a hanger and hang it on your closet if you're able to. That's what I would typically recommend. Oh, of course, we didn't talk about bedding, but like all my pillowcases and my duvet cover, that's all linen. So
Really?
Linen is surrounding my body a lot of the year.
Why do you do bedding? Why do you do linen bedding?
temperature regulation. It can get really soft over time, which is wonderful. Now, one thing I will tell you is from a previous duvet cover experience and a previous fitted sheet experience, when we put stuff in the dryer, it like really degraded it and it caused like a little small rip. And then it eventually over time just became such an enormous rip and tear that like it was basically not repairable. So I'd highly recommend like if any of your garments are starting to rip a little bit, immediately darn it or patch it up or whatever. Don't let it
Just get worse.
Yeah, it's just gonna get worse and worse and worse. Okay, so we kind of talked a little bit about the misconception that linen can only be for summer. I also wear linen in the wintertime.
What kind of pieces? Like the blazers?
I'll wear like heavier, thicker things for sure. One of the first things I'll wear at closest to my body will be like a merino wool, like maybe maybe a sweater or a little bit more of a fitted moment there. And then on top of that, I might wear a linen piece potentially.
And you're wearing it
and I
mostly
feel so
'cause
comfortable.
You like that? Like, just for the style, or are you thinking of it in a utilitarian way?
Both. It's like so comfortable, especially when I'm lounging at home. Maybe your apartment's really hot or cold, and then you walk outside, and then that temperature is dramatically different, and then you walk into a store, and it's like all over. Like merino wool and linen can help regulate that a little bit more.
Yes.
So for all the peeps who are watching who are very sensitive to temperature, I would highly recommend giving linen a serious try across a lot of the year.
I think what I'm most attracted to after we talked were the hats and maybe some patterned linen short sleeve button ups for summer, because I really don't wear like so much of, especially for women, so much of summer dressing is like a tight white tank top, and it's just like not that comfortable. So yeah, I think I would probably do more like a linen blend or just a cotton pant, but like a linen blend pant and then maybe more linen on top.
I think it's totally reasonable. And I think for like a lot of people figuring out not only their style, but also figuring out the types of fibers that they really truly care about. Somebody who's like very hypersensitive, I get so aware of the fabric that I'm wearing. Like really the main times that I want to feel my clothes is when I'm first getting ready, and if I see myself in my mirror, or somebody gives me a compliment. Like generally speaking, I don't want to be thinking about my
Right.
clothes.
I
want to kind of forget.
What about what you're wearing?
And so I find that for people who are very highly sensory, and for people who like are in that similar mindset, and they don't want to constantly be thinking about and adjusting things or feeling the tension somewhere, I oftentimes recommend getting something a little bit oversized, and that's in linen.
Yeah, I did notice a lot of your stuff is extra large.
Yep.
Which is not necessarily your size.
Yeah, because I'll usually wear like a tank top, and then I'll throw this thing on top, and I feel so comfortable. Billowy, free, and current. Comfy and current.
Easy beasy.
Easy beasy. Did you call me beasy?
No, I meant to say easy, breezy, beautiful.
Cover girl.
Cover girl.